Time for the next chapter. So in the last chapter, we met the members of the PDF, or the Paws Defence Force. Chapter 21, Paws Walkers Unite. You said it was just us, hissed Hamish, taking Alice to one side once she'd introduced them all. You said it was me and you and no one else. I'm sorry, said Alice, leaning against the tree. I wanted to ease you in gently, see if you could handle the truth and hold your own. This is some pretty big stuff we're talking about. So who are this lot? Asked Hamish, pointing at the others. They're like you and me. Some of them have parents who vanished. Some of them have parents at home they don't want to vanish. But all of them are paws walkers. Hamish took a breath. The more grown-ups that disappear, he said quietly, the more certain I am that my dad is out there somewhere. Maybe he is, said Alice, but you have to protect yourself too. You have to remember that maybe he isn't. Hamish nodded sadly. He knew she was right. Right, so this is how it works, said Buster, interrupting things. I'm in charge of the PDF's van and general transport needs, he said. When a pause hits, you want to make sure you use every second and have a speedy vehicle. Buster had an afro which almost doubled the size of his head, thick black glasses, some pretty impressive muscles for an 11-year-old, and a little pot belly he nicknamed the Beast. The Beast needs feeding, he'd often yell, apparently. Lucky he had access to his uncle's old ice cream van then, eh? But it's not just the van, ham-face, said Buster, who kept getting Hamish's name wrong. In just a few minutes he'd called him Ham-face, Hedgehog and Hilda. Buster pointed behind him. The PDF had the same idea as Hamish. Mr. Slackjaw's beautiful Vespers. Check out the fleet. Mr. Slackjaw's missing mopeds, said Hamish. You stole them? Buster looked horrified. Borrowed, Harold, he said, before adding rather guiltily, and modified, enhanced, improved. Hamish took them all in. There was a scooter for each of the team parked in a line, each on its own stand. One was jet black with bright blue streaks down the side. He reckoned he knew whose that was. Next to it was a muddy old scooter that had been painted olive green. It had giant tyres and what looked like an enormous pea shooter stuck on the front. That had to be Buster's. Behind it was another one that was brand new, yellow and red and covered in big silver stars and lights and bells and whistles. That one's mine, said the blonde-haired girl in a stripy jumper. I'm Clover. I'm in charge of reconnaissance. What? Spying, said Hamish, a little shocked. Doesn't that moped rather stand out? I'm a master of disguise, she said. Watch this. I'm a girl, right? Hamish nodded. Clover whipped out a fake moustache from one of her many pockets and stuck it onto her upper lip. Now I'm a middle-aged bank manager. Then she tore the moustache off, turned it on its side and hung it from her chin. Now I'm a 2,000-year-old Japanese emperor. Then she very quickly stuck it between the top of her nose and her forehead. Now I'm an old lady with a monobrow. There's some pictures of her. Everybody applauded. Cool, said Hamish. But how come you want to disguise yourself as grown-ups when grown-ups are the very thing the Terribles are after? Clover's face fell. Yeah, good point, she said, taking the fake moustache off and screwing it up in her hand. I'm Elliot, said a boy with the biggest brown eyes framed by two very expressive eyebrows. Strategies and operations. What does that mean? Asked Hamish. I'm not entirely sure, said Elliot, one eyebrow raised quizzically, but basically, I keep a note of everything we're doing. I help us work out when the next pause might be and how long it will last. But it's not what I really want to do. What do you really want to do? Asked Hamish. I just want to dance, said Elliot, and he did a little jig. But apparently that's not very useful in a war. Hamish nodded his understanding. Because that's what it is, said the last of the kids, stepping out from the shadows. It's a war. This kid was quite tall. He had skinny jeans, sunglasses propped up on his forehead, a t-shirt with a skull on it, and a look of someone who didn't scare easily. I'm Venk, he said dramatically, short for Venkatesh. I've seen you around school. You hang out with that nervous kid a lot. Robin, said Hamish. What does he make of all this? I'll be honest, I haven't really told him. He once fainted because I told him a friend of mine's cousin's friend's brother's cousin once thought he saw a ghost. I'm not sure what hearing about actual real-life terribles would do to him. Fair enough, said Venk. That one's mine, by the way. He pointed at a dark purple Vespa with polished chrome spikes all over it. It had been modified so the handles were really high and the seat was really low. On the back was a long, springy flagpole supporting a flag that read, Pause Walkers Forever. Hamish was impressed. I bet that the girls really dig me. Yeah, said Venk. You're right. That's not actually what I was going to. It's kind of you to point that out. Cheers, man. Alice wrinkled her nose. She didn't seem particularly impressed. And what about you, Hamish Ellaby? Said Venk, letting his sunglasses drop from his forehead to his eyes. What do you bring to the team? What makes you special? Hamish thought about it, then held his watch out for them to see. I guess you can call me the timekeeper. Venk smiled. Hamish, said Alice, did you bring your mum's graph like I asked you? Hamish pulled out a neatly folded sheet of A4 paper. I found a copy in the waste paper basket at home, he said. What's that? Asked Elliot, perking up. Is that? He took it and read it. This is gold dust, he said, delighted. And now, said Alice, as the gang fell silent, I can tell you why I brought you all here. And that is where I'm going to leave it for now. Bye.